Right, this is going to be another episode of the Best Damn League show, and our guest for this one is going to be Gilius, who, actually, I want to use this moment to check. People don't always know, unless someone does the official, my joke would be, the official announcement of a retirement has to be a twit longer, where you just, I don't know, thank like 10 teammates that you remember that no one else knows. Did you actually ever officially retire, Gilius? Do you actually ever like have plans you would potentially come back as a pro again? Is that even on your mind?
I'm planning my retirement post right now.
Okay.
Let's put it this way.
Okay.
I want to start transitioning into the coaching role, maybe assistant coach or something. So I'm just working on the coaching craft right now, watching 10 hours of league every day, watching LPL, LCK, analyzing, learning how to draft, how they play the map well. So, yeah.
Okay. By the way, are you one of those people, before we start, are you one of those people a bit like Nemesis where they still think like most coaches are frauds and they're all just like fucking check stealers? Are you actually one of those people? Are you in the Bwipo camp?
I would say I'm in the Bwipo camp, yeah. Like, looking at the LEC, like, how the games are played out, how the drafts play out, I'm very disappointed this year so far, so I'm definitely in that camp.
Okay, right, we might have teased a point. We've got a couple of players then. So, okay, here's the thing, Gilius. We always have the guests start with the good points. We'll start on a positive. What is good about LEC at the moment?
What's good about the LEC? That's good. That's a good question. Like the last 2 weeks, I've liked how Myrwn has played on Koi, the top laner. I think he's the best player on the team, and he's like solo carrying the games right now. So he's a player that I'm looking forward to watch every week right now. Other than that, Casey has been pretty disappointing. They were good at the start. G2 and Fnatic struggling. So there's not many positives that I can think of right now.
And you what? Give us some more on Myrwn then. What do you like about him? What about his game do you enjoy?
The fact that he can just accelerate his leads so hard. He like takes over the map. I don't know. They like place vision for him on side lane. He pushes very far in. They find good team fights. He has an interesting champion pool. He plays like his last 4 games where Varus top lane, which he really popped off with, but he also proved that he can play picks like Rumble and Gwen, and then one Aurora win as well. So he's very versatile. He can play the meta picks, but he can also pick some cool counter picks like Aurora and Varus.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I think it makes sense. I think Myrwn has, throughout his career, he was like probably one of the best Varus tops in Europe for many, many years now. He plays it a ton in solo queue. He's played it in competitive. I think his Gwen is like fantastic. Those, like, if you ask me, if you say Myrwn, what are his 2 best champions? Like, I'm immediately thinking Varus and Gwen. I like that he's added Aurora for sure. I think that basically he's had a couple of. Myrwn is definitely somebody who likes to cook, and I think they kind of keep him a little bit in check. You know, he has to play. You know, he has to take his vegetables before he's allowed the steak. You know, he has to learn his Abessa. He has to learn all these other normal champions. But I think Myrwn, like, definitely, he's always got the creativity, but it's how the team has played around him. And I think Koi have gone from being last year a team that could only basically win if they played for Super and Alvaro, and now I think they can play both sides, which I think makes them a better team than they were last year for sure.
Okay. One thing I have to ask you about, Peter, is people might know, it was actually, here's the silly thing, when we actually did that interview, where people think it's just an interview flaming perks, it was actually just like an exit interview for Peter, basically leaving Heretics and what he thought about the whole team, and it actually had loads of info in there that wasn't about perks, but unfortunately, because the dominant narrative was, here's what really happened with perks, people think it's just the 2-hour flame perk session, but if they ever go and listen to that, one of the details that you explain, because this is how the whole perk situation happened, was, you actually didn't intend to make like a team of like Hall of Famers from LEC that just sort of fell in your lap. And so before that, one of the things you said was actually you were trying to get Myrwn before he got to Mad Lions, as it was then called. Like you were actually going to pick this top laner up. So did you have a different vision? Would you have used him in a similar way? What were you thinking of at the time when you wanted this guy?
So actually Myrwn and Alvaro,
right.
To be honest. But I mean, I think that basically the project that Heretics pitched was development project, and then midway through they kind of, I think got a little bit sidetracked over what they wanted to do. Like bringing in VTO, bringing in like other options. So when I was asked to track kind of development pieces, Myrwn and obviously Carlsen are the two top laners that I looked at, and why those two in particular. Myrwn because he's really, really creative. He really has good. He has the ability to think about the game in a very creative way, and when you talk to him, like you can never really understand how a player actually is until you kind of interact with them, and the way he thinks about the game is very, very smart. And I think that creativity. So Mad Lions last year, sorry, Mad Lions or Koi, I mean they were Mad Lions last year, but Koi this year. The thing about were they Koi?
They were Mad Lions, but now they're Movistar, but they're Koi in both cases. I know it's confusing, but it's all good.
Yeah. But basically the thing about that team is that they were scrambling a lot. People forget that this isn't a team that was like winning a lot of games over the course of the year. I think their win rate in games over the course of the year was like 30%.
It was bad
for a team that went. Yeah, it was bad. So what they were doing as a team, and this is something I credit Melzet for, their coach, is he just was finding a way for them to just win games, right? Like sometimes, it's all very good to have like really amazing, fantastic, creative macro and things like this, but sometimes you just need to find a way to win games. And the way that they decided to win games was enable Super, who was a good primary shot caller, and then play around that. And it meant that Myrwn couldn't be that creative. But if you'd asked me if like Myrwn was on Heretics, how we would have used him, red 5 counter pick every single game. Put him on his carries. Play Ivan. Play like the thing that makes Myrwn stand out is he's not afraid to pick the AD carries top. He's not afraid to pick the mages top. The problem with Myrwn is like sometimes it's not a fiddlesticks angle, and you just need to like tell him don't pick fiddlesticks. Okay. But yeah, I worked with him for Iberia Cup for a tournament in Spain, like an off-season tournament, and he was very, very impressive in kind of his understanding of when to push the limits. And he wasn't the type of guy who would come to you and say, I want to play this pick because I saw it in solo queue or I saw it in LCK. He would come with really, really specific feedback on we in this kind of a draft comp, we need team comp, or in this type of a draft, we need this type of champion, and here's some champions that I have in mind that can fill this kind of role. What do you think that we can work on as a team? And that's always, if a player comes to you, they say, oh, I saw this thing in solo queue. But when a player comes to you and says, I have these ideas, like which of these 2 or 3 picks do you think we can best fit into our team? That's when this guy is really, really smart, and that's when how you know that this guy's thinking about the game, because he's thinking about strengths and weaknesses. So yeah, I agree. I'm really happy to see Myrwn succeed. It took him a bit of time, but it's a weird way to say it, but because of the mid lane changes, they don't really have to worry about mid lane that much anymore, at least in the early game. So he gets to be a bit more creative, right? And now Jojo has to work on his team fighting, maybe. But at least it lets Myrwn be creative in the early game.
I think the rest of the team still has a lot of work to do, like to catch up to Myrwn's level. I think, the rest has to get a lot better if they want any chances to win the split. I think Elyoya has been very disappointing for me this year to watch. Makes a lot of weird mistakes. Just looks like he doesn't really think too much about the game. Like he doesn't really put much thought into his pathing anymore. It's more just on the fly, whatever he has to do. It's not creative, it's not consistent, it's not good. And then Alvaro also has dropped in level from last year to this year. But Super and Jojo, Jojo on a few champs has been okay, but on the rest, not so great. Like Jojo, usually on Asia and Yon, looks pretty solid. On the other stuff, has some work to do.
He's not bad. His still is pretty good.
By the way, I do also think it's hilarious because if anyone's a pro player and you're listening, Peter actually just gave you the secret to how you like mind fuck your coach and do whatever pick you want. You just use his terminology in his love language, as it were. So, like, here's the joke. It would be like if there was, like thankfully, there's not any little kids watching. Karmine Corp fans listening in French. Anyway, but if there was a kid listening, I'd tell you the same trick. Don't go to your mum and dad and go, hey, I want ice cream, because they're going to go, no, why would I give you ice cream? But if you go to them and go, you know what, mum and dad, I'm not going to be young forever. whatever, and I've really appreciated the relationship we've had, but I want to get closer with you. So I think it'd be great if we could just share a bowl of ice cream and look out at the sunset and sort of tell stories about our life. That might trick them. Like I say, it's the same thing. You're getting the ice cream at the end anyway. You're playing the fucking niddly top anyway, but you just got to go to your coach. And like he says, just mind fuck him. Like, actually, I think the way, like, when the LPL team used it, they weren't really properly weak-sided, though. Like, I think we would, because you have an excellent understanding of how to set up bot lane. Like, do you do that? They'll immediately do it, mate.
Yeah. Hi, mum and dad. I'd like an ice, I'd like an ice cream or a pina colada or rum and coke.
Exactly.
And then obviously they're going to give you the ice cream, right?
Okay. He's using that the Trump angle too. You just give the extreme thing and then you negotiate back, right? I see. By the way, along those lines, the reason I also asked you that's one thing I actually did wonder about, because I actually do think that I'll give a lot of credit actually to how Melzet uses Myrwn with this team. Two things I think people mistake is, one, because people see he's Spanish. I think people in their brain, no one watches the RLs, mate. They think he was with like Super and Alvaro. No, he was on a totally different team. Like, that actually had nothing. That's just happenstance that they put all those players together. And obviously they were building a Spanish project except the mid laner. So that part, actually, they don't have a history together. In fact, I don't even think they actually pair that well in a team, guys. Like we're saying, like when I think of the success of this team when it was Mad Lions, it was getting the bot lane rolling super early. Well, how are you going to do that with a top laner that like 90% of the time doesn't want to play a tank and wants to play some weird like damage champion or skill matchup? Like, I actually do think in some ways the coach is like actually fucking spinning plates, mate, getting both sides working. Because I'm with you. I'll give you the analogy, Peter. There's a great story, if people don't know, that goes that because famously Arsene Wenger has one of the best eyes for talent of any manager ever, and supposedly he is the other guy that was going to sign Cristiano Ronaldo, but then Alex Ferguson heard and just like immediately like sort of went straight to his house or whatever and signed him like before he got a chance. And obviously then the what if you're like an Arsenal fan would be, what if like Cristiano Ronaldo instead went to Arsene Wenger, who's a totally different type of manager, and was on Arsenal instead of Man United? So basically, if we did the same thing, if Myrwn went to Peter Dun, I actually think, unironically, by the way, that team would have fucking banged. You would have had like Flackhead, weak side, like ADC, just playing all the shitty players anyway, which would then totally enable Myrwn to just do whatever he wants. Stop. By the way, this sort of player, if you had him in the LPL, it's like we're talking, the whole team would be based around his picks and counter picks and fucking setting his lane up and jungle having all just ganking junglers for him all day long. Like in the LEC, you can tell we've had too many years of like bad top laners, because I actually feel like it's like you say, Peter, they let him like fuck around every now and then, but half the time they still just want him to play like a Santi or something. He's not. I don't think they actually embrace him as much. He's pretty good though. He's definitely creative. I'll give you that. Maybe too creative sometimes, but that comes with the territory.
Well, one thing I'll say before I hand over back to Gilius is it's worth remembering that Myrwn is the reason why Mad Lions were at Worlds, right? Because most people thought that BDS were going to go as third seed, but in the upper bracket, Mad Lions beat G2.
Oh yes,
and the reason they beat G2 is Myrwn like stomped that series. Like that is like one of the biggest 1v9 performances that I've seen from a top laner not called Broken Blade in the LEC, and it was against Broken Blade, right?
Yeah.
So he really, really like carried them in that series, and then they were in upper bracket, and then they were basically guaranteed top 3. Unless
I feel like he kind of took Broken Blade's identity over and just does it better right now. I feel like BB looks, he's my dear friend and my old teammate, so I don't want to sound too harsh. I still think he's probably the best top laner in the league when he's on his best level, but right now he's lost in the sauce, doesn't really know what to play. It looks like G2 doesn't really understand the meta at all, so BB ends up playing random champions like Cho'Gath and stuff a lot when the top lane meta is the most broken it's ever. Like, honestly, there's Gwen, there's Rumble, there's Ambessa. You can play all the OP champs and just be super good at them and win, but yeah, G2 doesn't really understand that. I feel like Myrwn has a good meta read, plays to his strength, and it's showing. Yeah.
And by the way, I will also add, if people just didn't follow LEC close enough last year, he did also have some crazy picks then. Like, he did fucking Smolder top lane, he did the Nidalee, he had fucking Zeri. Like the joke is, it's like him and Zeus, like the only people playing this shit top lane. Like, it was outrageous. He actually had like a really Nico. He had all the champions, mate. He had all of them. So I'm with you, right? Okay, this actually leads perfectly, Peter, into your good point. So it's another top laner.
Yeah. So my good point was going to be Carlsen. So I think Carlsen had a really, really good week. I've been waiting for Carlsen to finally kind of show what he's kind of capable of. The problem with Carlsen, obviously, is how would I say this with Heretics? Heretics are a team that they never give up in the game. They play kind of so they have plans in the early game. Sometimes they don't work. Sometimes they work. It's kind of a flip. Their mid to late game is really, really good because I think Stend is I still think Stend is like the most underrated player in the LEC. Like, I mean, this guy, Heretics don't win a game when this guy isn't carrying.
Right.
And I mean, I know obviously Callista is like the best, and Skewmon is having a good season, but I actually think Stend is like maybe a top 2 rookie this year. Like, Heretics don't win games when this guy isn't playing. Like, you can even I had this in my notes. There's like the clip from the first KC versus Heretics game, right? Like, game 1, like from 1730 to 1930. This guy's a rookie, right? He comes into the game. I think they got Herald. It must have been Herald. So they get Herald. He immediately goes bot. They go Heretics immediately switch into a 2-1-2. He goes and covers his bot lane. His bot lane, who I think was Carlsen at the time, bases, goes and switches into a 3-1-1, and he's very, very quick to play the right side lanes on the map. He's always in the right position at the right time. When he's on Rakan and things like this, he has really good engagers. So they have these really good, like, I don't think Shio's doing anything that creative, but I think Stend is like really. You think Shio's being creative?
I think Shio is the 1v9 machine on that team.
You think so? Interesting. Yeah. Okay. But I think Shio and Stend, like for sure, the two of them, they're really, really good at playing and knowing playing side lanes. They're really, really good at applying pressure apart and together, which is what I think makes Heretics good. The problem is they've got Flackett, who's stable, but both Camelu and Carlsen are really, really unstable because they just don't know how to play side lanes properly yet. They don't know how to push deep. They do it without vision, or sometimes they like the thing that rookies often do is they overshow on the side lane. So either you want to kind of semi-freeze your wave and slow stack your wave and then push twice, push 2 waves at the same time, or you want to push and immediately fog so that to force your opponent to guess. But I think one thing that Carlsen and Camelu are doing a lot is like they're overshowing, or they're like not pushing deep enough at the right times, or they're under pushing. And obviously this is something they need to learn because they're really, really raw rookies. But Carlsen this week had a lot of moments where he was finally beginning to push his limits better, and then he got caught up in a couple of key fights, and then they lost the game, which is kind of tragic. I kind of haven't seen the development from Camelu though. I think Camelu is still. He's developing. He's very, very raw. Like, it's hard. I don't want to be too harsh on him because he's kind of put into a situation where he's obviously not ready for LEC. They're trying to get him to develop. He is developing a little bit. But yeah, his side laning is really, really rough. But Carlsen was playing side lane better this week, and that's why I think Heretics were better.
By the way, similarly to the other one, as you said, he was the other person you wanted for Heretics. So why were you going to pick him up for Heretics? What were you seeing in him as a player then?
Oh, for Carlsen?
Yeah.
It's basically because Evie... So people think that Evie... Well, people have mixed views on Evie, but what I will say is this guy in scrims literally just stomps everyone in scrims, and there's a lot of ERL...
I think people have mixed views on Evie in the sense you're included in people. Everyone else thinks he sucks, bro, but I get that you think he's good at that. Like, there's opinions here and there. Like, okay, fair enough. Seems like a cool guy.
What I will say about Evie is there were a lot of people who said, "Oh, all of these ERL top laners," and then they get a list of people who they're like, "Oh, they're obviously better," and then we would scrim their teams, and he would just like go like there were some of the very best top laners, most hyped top laners in ERL who basically I had to go to Evie after like one series against like basically the most hyped top laner. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want to, but he's not in LEC right now. Okay. But fans think he's really, really good. And I basically had to say to Evie, stop solo killing this guy. Like please, just like we're not getting good practice. Like if you go 3-0 at 15 minutes, 4-0 at 15 minutes.
Evie had to put the Rock Lee weights back on. He was too powerful. Okay, fucking hell, pull your punches. All right, I love it.
But what I would say is Carlsen, of all the mid laners we played, like Carlsen was on some like Nordic team, or like he was on some like really, really like mid tier. I don't think they even went to EU Masters. But he was the one guy, like we got him in a warm-up we got his team in a warm-up one day, and he was the only one who could like really match Evie. And then we started scrimming them more just because he was the one that could hold top lane, and so we could get good practice on the rest of the map. And it was literally because of him that we kept scrimming his, like, it must have been really weird for like a mid-table Nordic team to like keep scrimming LEC, but like he was that good. And he was giving us good practice. And then we were like, okay, you've got to sign this guy for Academy. And that's how he ended up on Heretics. and it wasn't just like one block; it was like over the course of an entire year. So that's why Carlsen. I would say Carlsen though is very very raw, and I think having Carlsen and Camelu develop together is kind of a dangerous strategy for Heretics, because normally when you have two solo laners, you want one to be a bit more experienced so they can kind of like call the side laning a bit more so that the rookie can kind of develop. And you put two like mega raw rookies like this, it makes it harder for both to develop. So like if you'd gone and told me that, like say it was Vito and Carlsen, or it was like Camelu and Impact or somebody, right? Like then I think they would both develop faster. But because they're two rookies, they don't have anyone to play off, they don't have anyone to learn from, kind of. It becomes much harder for them to develop. So that's kind of been slow. But you can see Carlsen's kind of getting it now, which is promising. But actually, this is the thing I kind of want to ask you, Gilius. Like you mentioned Shia. Do you think that it's an illusion? Because I could see on this case that Carlsen's side laning this week was maybe better because Shia and Sten were playing to him better than they were in previous weeks.
I think overall Sheo just plays the map really well, like from start till finish. I think he was also a big part of BDS success last year, or rather last year's. I'm not sure how long he played there, but I think it was a big mistake to let him go and get 113 in there. They look way worse now, BDS. And yeah, Sheo just plays the meta champs well. Good pathings, good early games. He has a good eye for the game as well. Like when he does 3 camps and he sees somebody overextending, he's gonna punish and gank and try to break the game. It's not easy to be the jungler for a team like Heretics. You need to break the game consistently because your laners will be losing their lanes. So I'm impressed with him. I also am very impressed with Stent, because I've played with Stent in solo queue and champions queue, played scrims against him in the past a lot, and I never thought he was that good. But some players can just sign an LEC contract, go on the stage, and just play way better. Like sometimes this just randomly happens, and yeah, it worked out. I mean, Stent is doing really well. I'm happy for him. He's a cool guy. He's also very hardworking. He hits high solo queue ranks consistently. People in the community, like the pro players and me, like that's who I'm talking about. We didn't respect him that much, but I think he's gaining a lot of respect right now with his performances, and he's doing good. I don't think Heretic is going to be a big danger to anyone if they make it to top 6 or top 8, whatever. I don't really know the format. I think they're just going to get knocked out by anyone, but it's still nice to see a cheap roster like this almost beating KC last week. It's good that they are performing.
No, by the way, I'm with you. It is top 6 for this split, so it's actually way more harder. It's going to be way more competitive for that 6th spot. But I know what you mean. Like, by the way, if they can even make top 6, which doesn't look implausible, they've already had a good split. Like, everyone on paper would have had this team like second to last or something. Like, actually, they're kind of overperforming. I'm with you as well. When you look at the roster, one of the reasons I wasn't a fan of this roster in winter when it was announced is it just does look like someone went, right, we're going a mixture of budget and then whoever the rookies are that the other teams didn't sign, basically. And unfortunately for me, that is where I'm a bit more of like an nemesis. Like, come on, that many rookies are going to be good, especially the Camilo guy. Like, you better actually be Arsene Wenger of League if you're going to pick that guy. Like, he wasn't even playing in a top ERL. If people don't know, he's playing like Division 2 of a fucking ERL. Like, he's not. This is like a ridiculous pick. This is like when you go to some faraway league in football, you try and pluck a guy out and you hope it's George Weah, basically. Like, spoiler, it's not going to be usually. It's just going to be a guy that's like good at that level. So I do think they overcooked with that part of the roster. But aside from Camilo, I can actually see what they go for with this team, mate. Like, the bot lane's decent. Like, those players actually play pretty well. Even seem to fit together. Sheo, by the way, is just actually... what's funny is he used to get so much criticism when he played with Nuke. I actually think he's looked good without Nuke, mate. He's sort of like reclaimed his reputation. People thought he was just the dog before, just had to follow him around. And I will say Carlsen is the one who looks at the obvious talent, like actually shows real potential, looks like he could be like a quality top player in the future. By the way, clearly has rookie flaws, obviously, but like it actually shows that he has some skills. I can see why they picked him up. So I don't hate this take, actually.
Yeah, I forgot to talk about Carlsen. Like the problem right now I have with Carlsen is whenever I say, like I watch the games, I live view it, and I will say stuff like, wow, Carlsen actually played that pretty well, or wow, Carlsen just solo killed Caps. And people will berate my chat with, bro, this Carlsen guy doesn't deserve to play LEC, he's horrible, he has never hit Challenger once in his life. He has never been Challenger in solo queue in his life. So Carlsen needs to grind some solo queue games for people to respect him. Because right now, this narrative about solo queue is dragging him down. Because if a young player like Carlsen comes into the league, never has hit challenger, it's a bad look for him.
Sure.
But I do agree with Peter. I think Carlsen is actually playing pretty well. And for a new top laner, he's doing some good stuff. He still has a long way to go. Like, I don't think he's there yet to be like on a top team. But the future is looking bright for sure.
And also, you have to go on.
Like Stend is the one who is like, he looks like he belongs here. He looks like he should have always been. He looks like he's been playing LEC for years. Like Carlsen was good this week, but like let's temper the
Sure.
thing. It's good for a rookie coming in from I'm not saying like he's going to set the league on fire, but yeah, I
you have to realise, one, Peter is doing the thing where he knows he has to get it in this week before, like in the next week, he hits the fucking game, so he can't get the good point in then. And then secondly, you do notice, like when you were listening to that, Gilius, I was thinking, when's Carlsen ever going to get mentioned? It was just all about Stend for about like 10 minutes. It was just like you glazed Stend and then we're like, yeah, that Carlsen's not bad actually. He was decent this week. Couldn't fucking like just stay Stend then. You could have just whatever. The assist to Carlsen for this one. We're giving him the assist. Right, my point is going to actually be tied into somewhat this topic actually, which is, think about the past years of LEC, especially with the G2 dominance, with Fnatic always failing to beat G2. The worst thing about BDS is they'd always get in a position to be third and then always lose that low bracket match to Fnatic or G2. They could never ever be. Everyone thought the worst thing about LEC was the idea it's a one region team and it's boring and you always know who's going to win and it's predictable and G2 gets all the best players. Bro, right now, as of today, the top end of LEC has never been more wide up. Bro, you'd have to go back years to get this. Like, for real, I think it wouldn't even be LEC. It'd be like EULCS last time it was this wide open. Like, think about it. You've got, like, these three big names, and none of them are the obvious favourite, by the way. G2, no one knows yet. Will Scumon do this in the playoffs? He wasn't that good in the finals. We look at Fnatic. Yeah, they're awesome. We've seen this story before. They could just fall apart instantly and mentally kaboom. Karmine Corp, by the way, I'm even going to do a point on them later. That's a negative. Like, they're winning loads of these games off, like, sick team fighting, but, like, fucking hell, they shouldn't even be getting in these positions. Like, so at the same time, they've got like a mega strength that even looks like they could go to a MSI again and be good, but would they even get to that point in the game? So I actually think at the top level, like, it's actually quite good at the middle as well, but the top level, like, who's going to win LEC? I think if you did all the different talk shows and asked everyone today, like, write your name of the winner down now and put it in an envelope, bro, I think you'd have loads of picks for all the top three. I don't think everyone would just say Karmine Corp. I don't think everyone would just say G2. I think some people would even say Fnatic. So what do you guys think? I actually think the top level, if people have been complaining for years it was boring, it was G2 every time, bro, I think it's fire this time. Like, you can almost pick with your favourite stylers and just go for it. Like, playoffs look like they're going to be sick to me. What do you think, Gilius?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I have to pick one. Yeah, it's either G2 KC or Fnatic, right? For me, like, clearly.
Do you think it's wide open though? Do you also agree, or do you favour one more?
It's super wide open.
Right.
It could easily be Fnatic, but I think Fnatic is somehow gonna crash and burn again. I have a feeling like there's just something about this team. It's just something is gonna happen. KC, the way they're playing right now, and I can't give it to them. I would just say G2 right now because it's G2, but I would not be slightly surprised if it's KC or Fnatic because G2's drafting is horrendous. Their meta read is like so bad, and their map play is not even anything special. Like, I think 5 rookies that I would coach for 5 months, I could beat this.
He's doing a whippo. He's actually doing a whippo now. I love it. Okay, perfect, great.
No, I'm actually serious. But yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's my point.
Okay. What do you think, Peter?
I think that I agree the league is open. I think that Koi are better than people think.
He's putting Koi in this mix as well. Fucking hell. True believer you are. I know. True believer.
Okay, Koi, week 1, they only lost 2-1. They should have beaten KC in week 1, but I mean, Heretic should have beaten KC and they still beat.
That's true. That's also true. Yeah.
And they did got a single game off G2, although they got kind of stumped in the other two. I think that the problem is right now is I cannot have faith in a Fnatic team that just got destroyed by SK like less than 2 weeks ago, right? Like I just can't, right? So I mean, I think I'm going to give the boring answer. I think it's going to be G2. I don't think I could take rookie 5 rookies and train them to be better than G2 in 5 months.
Okay.
But I will say that I will say that I think that G2 are not as flawless as they were in previous seasons, and definitely Labrov especially has not. So when Labrov was on BDS, he had a lot of freedom to do a lot of the things that he would want to do in the mid game, or BDS were empowering him to do. But on G2, he doesn't have that freedom, and it's really, really obvious. Like, I mean, you mentioned it earlier with Shio. Shio was kind of doing like the dog work, you know, the unpleasant stuff, and that let Labrov go to sides, play to Nuke's side, occasionally play to Adam, push his vision, you know, look for pick opportunities and things like that. Like he had agency, right? Like he was the one who had the ability to create number advantages on side of the map, to engage, you know, to do whatever he wanted to do, and he doesn't have that power on G2, and as a result, it looks like he's a little bit slow to play sometimes, because it's very obvious that he's gone from a leadership role to a follower role. So I think yeah.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but I also feel like G2's creativity is, they're just like, they're playing so stationary, and so they're trying to play disciplined, but it's hurting them so much. Like what they rely on a lot is like individual class. Hans Sommer, Caps, BB, these people are great in a lot of skirmishes and in a lot of random fights. And right now the way they play is just too stationary, like not enough action, not enough volatile scenarios. So I think that also hurts a player like Labrov, the fact that they always just try to go for the perfect play.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that Mickey had the confidence to go for a skirmish, even if it looked a little bit dodgy, you know. But with Labrov, I feel that he's afraid to go for a fight, which doesn't look good. And trust his teammates to outplay, and I think that's not a good thing, to be honest. So yeah, I agree. I'm still going to back G2 because I mean KC have looked a bit rough this split, and Fnatic are very inconsistent, and Koi. I mean, I have faith that they'll eventually fix it. But yeah, I think it's got to be G2. But I do love how open the league is, and I love that teams like SK, teams like Heretics a little bit, but mainly SK and Vitality. Like I think that these even the lower table teams, I feel, can beat the top teams in a best of 3. Like obviously in past years we've had like Rogue being able to shock teams in a best of 1 or things like this, but like I feel that some of the bottom teams can win best of 3s against the top teams if the top team doesn't prepare for them properly, or like get too spicy in draft, or make one mistake too many, you know. So I think that's a good thing. Doesn't mean that the league is getting stronger or the league is getting weaker, but I leave that up to debate. But I'm an eternal optimist, so I like to believe it's because we have multiple strong teams and not because we're regressing at the top. But
by the way, even though obviously you could critique the top teams too, and they have their flaws like you guys just did, I also do think part of it is because the talent is now spread out. Like think about it, people like Ike and Mikex on other teams, mate. Like we've got a really good breadth. Before it really was G2 just had their pick of everyone, and then like, you know, maybe one other team for that could get a couple of players. Now the actual spread of the talent at the top's really good, mate. Same as if you go for like top lane role, bro, that role fucking bangs in LEC now. Look at it, like fucking Canada might actually be like one of the best in the world, mate. He's fucking legit. So right, let's go on. What is then your bad point going to be? You sort of hinted at there. What's your bad point going to be, Gilius?
I wrote down, I'd like to talk about how terrible the meta read of the entire LEC is, the split. Draft and meta read.
So nothing too big then. Right, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, so I've been for 2 years now co-streaming LCK and LPL basically every day. Like I try to not miss a single match. And so I'm like kinda always on the trend to where the meta is going. Like I kinda know what China's doing, LCK is doing. They're usually pretty similar as well. And I've been waiting since fucking January now for the LEC to catch up to the meta. Like, it doesn't take that much. You just gotta watch the games and understand why the Chinese, Korean teams ban the stuff they ban, and why do they pick the stuff that they pick, and when do they pick it, and what do they blind, how do they counterpick. But it seems like the LEC has no idea what's going on. They look at win rates, they like pick Vi and then think, oh, they are all playing Vi over there. Vi is broken. They don't even know how to draft with Vi. They don't know how to play Vi, the LEC junglers. Some drafts in the LEC, Gwen, like when Gwen is like was like super broken. Now Gwen is like getting figured out slowly. That's like how metas work, right? Gwen comes into the meta as a super broken champ. Everyone plays it. Then people figure it out. Now in the LCK LPL, people are also willing to give Gwen away a few times. But the LEC didn't even pick up on Gwen at the start. Gwen was just going through drafts. Like there was some teams that faced each other where Gwen was not picked or banned. And then, I just feel like they are 3 weeks behind of Korea and China when it comes to meta. They are literally playing on the same patch. And the drafting has been very disappointing from Fnatic and G2, even KC. I think even KC kinda is lost on the sauce right now when it comes to drafting. So I'm very, very worried for MSI. The good thing about this whole fiasco is that Riot is putting out a huge patch soon. So where basically there's 2 Void Grub spawns right now, it's gonna get changed to 1 Void Grub spawn. Herald timer changes, like when it spawns. So this is basically a new beginning for all the teams, right? Like macro is gonna change, everyone needs to relearn the game. So that could be good for Europe. But right now it's a disaster.
When you say KC, not really bad read on meta, do you mean how they're drafting around Vi, or what do you mean in particular?
I feel like KC is gonna open a series in the LEC right now with a great draft in game 1, like when they have side select, and then game 2 they're gonna absolutely drop a bomb of a draft where they're playing champions that they always lose on. They like try stuff out, like they try to let Vladi play like different champs now, like Sylas and Akali. Kalist keeps trying to play Ashe. Like it's just like they pick champions that they are not good at. So they are maybe like practicing, but it's just like they're just losing games because of it. So they're not losing the whole series, but they are like losing single games. And I want KC to become cleaner. I want them to like 2-0 bottom tier teams. I don't want them to almost lose to Heretics, you know?
I mean, they should. They were 7K down in that game, no? 7.5K?
Oh, they were lost down there.
They should.
Was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they should have lost that. Yeah, no, I mean, for me, it looks like teams are experimenting a bit. Like definitely last week, I was really, really critical of Vitality for the Yasuo game and like experimenting against Rogue, because I think I said like Vitality need those wins to get into playoffs. I'm more willing to excuse teams like G2, KC, Fnatic for experimenting, because I think that I don't think there's a world where any of those 3 miss out on top 6. I think Koi don't get the luxury of doing it because they lost to G2 and KC week 1, so they can't, they have to like try hard as much as they can. But I'm willing to cut them a bit of slack if they draft like this in playoffs. Though I fully agree with you. Like it's
I have a feeling that they will keep drafting badly. So
yeah, I mean, like, it's interesting because we had Odo on a few weeks ago, and the one thing that he said that really struck with me, and I've been watching KC games with this lens, is that basically cannot play without lane priority, well, or like he really needs push in order to be able to play the game, both in the early game and the mid game, and definitely that's something I've noticed with KC. Like when they don't have top push, they really, really like it's like watching KC Mark II, like it's not the same team. So yeah, I kind of agree with where you are. But we'll see. We'll see how the patch is going to change. How do you feel about them making such a massive patch halfway through the season, halfway through a split?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Especially the fact that it's so big fundamental things. Like the most coaches in the world right now probably have all the spreadsheets ready. They understand the void grubs, iterations, Herald, everything, right? Like how to set up for it, how to set up the map. It's just all gonna change. So it's about actually just sprinting it. Like you need to practice as much solo queue as you can as a pro player when this new patch drops. And whoever learns it the fastest is gonna succeed. Because I do think it's a really Yeah, it's huge. I think the patch.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit too big for middle of the season
Yes.
patch.
I mean, normally you make these between splits, no?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit weird.
I actually think that's one of the most under-discussed parts in League, by the way. Considering basically for like the last 5 to 6 years, almost every year they change something about like objective control, like new objectives, different like. What's weird is people when they talk about like League though, they talk like it's the same game forever, like fucking tennis or something. And then we even talk about different years of people's careers. But have you mentioned any of this shit? Because like the reason that one's so crazy to me is the grubs change. Like, bro, I keep saying this. Everyone tells me that I'm the one who's just a moron who's watching the game like a layman and knows nothing. I don't hear anyone when they're talking about T1 winning Worlds explain that they were like the best team that would go for the grubs early like that. No one ever even mentioned that. That was like one defining thing. So what made them like an interesting team. Or if you go back a couple of years before, remember you used to have that time where like T1 always went for the fucking dragon and then like Gen G went for the herald every time or whatever way around it. Like people do miss that. That's like a fundamental part of the game. You're not just playing the same game every time. So I agree that is crazy to change. Basically, that's going to potentially decide who wins MSI. Like it's not some minor thing. It's pretty fucking huge. And then actually, I wanted to ask you something, which is I get what you mean about like picking up the different champions. I was just looking up there. The grand win rate, pick ban win rate is way higher in the LPL. Right. One of the problems I do have, it's like what Peter said earlier about when someone comes and asks to play a champion. I don't really care who plays this champion or what match it was played in. What you have to be able to explain to me if you're the player is just explain to me what the champion is going to do that you think we need to do in this game. Because if you do that, by the way, you also then provide the leeway that maybe there's like an alternate champion we can play that does something similar that you can play and the comp can work around. Because I do feel like half the time I agree with you. There's people where, put it this way, Gilius, people think that like LS is memeing when he says this. To this day, I can tell you, if you go and talk to pro players who play in the LEC, some of them really do just still say stuff like, yeah, but Peanut plays it. Like, that's like a real, or Canyon's playing it now. Like, that's a real, like, by the way, I was so scared when Canyon pulled out that fucking Zed jungle that shit was just going to come all over the other regions. Like, well, that's a Canyon only pick. Get away from that. You know what I mean? So my question is this actually, Peter, which is when people, the problem you're going to always have when you're siloed in your little region and you're not playing the LPL teams in scrims is people are going to say, logically, you're going to do what works for you in scrims against the competition you're playing. So, like, when it comes to your draft, you can obviously theory craft to some degree, but you're going to want to go with what worked for you, you know, what's actually shown results. So my question would be, if you're trying to do this, like, bigger thinking of what the whole scene is good at the moment, and maybe they don't play something in your region, do you ever go with comps and picks that just you don't even play in scrims, or you've only been able to theory craft this? Should it have like a basis? Should it have to? Because to me, it's hard to know how much we should blame people for not reaching for the other regions in that sense. I mean, if it's working in their little pond, they have to think it's the best. What would you say to that, Peter?
So I think that often you have there's like an archetype of comp you're really good at playing, and I can give a perfect example of this. Like 2017 on Splice, 2017, we had a sport called Kasing, and Kasing was like he's literally the best Janna player in Europe, and you know, at his peak was probably one of the best Janna players in the world.
Right.
Played all the what are they called? Eagle champions. You know, really good Janna,
Okay.
really good Lulu, really good Zillion. You know, like he would pick all of these champions, and as a result, we often went to 5-pick for support so that he could. And Tam Kench, this was before the change for Tam Kench, and Tam Kench was considered like basically the best support.
That was OP as fuck, yeah.
I'd counter Tam Kench, and if they didn't pick Tam Kench, we would just pick Tam Kench. Right? Just as an example. But if Kasing came to me and his Janna and Zillion were banned, and he came to me and said, I want to play... I can't even think of a champion off the top of my head, right? But he came to me and said, I wanted to play an enchanter that we never played in scrims before. I can't even remember what was legal at that time, right? But then I would be like, okay, it's an enchanter. We're going to play as if it's an enchanter. Tell me, is there differences in power spikes that we need to like, did you need a reset on a particular time or something? And this is what we would talk about in draft, right? It's like, okay, I'm picking Zillion instead of Janna, so therefore I can push the wave on this timer. But if we don't crash the wave, then I'm going to have no mana, so I need a base, right? Like but that kind of thing, you have about 60 seconds, and that's the kind of thing. You know, you're playing the range supports. You go to your range support player and say, when is the base you need? Right? Are we going BF sword base? Are we going like thing? And then you can adjust, and you just trust your player to have the innovative picks. It's the thing that scares me the most is when you have like an archetypal change. Right, so maybe there's a draft where Kana, it's like the best Malphite draft you can possibly imagine. Like it's three AD champions topside. It's a champion that can't even punish Malphite that hard. I still don't think KC should pick Malphite. red 5, just because it's Casey and like Kano is not that type of player, or hasn't shown that they have success in that. But so I think that's where innovation gets too much. Like, I wouldn't pick Malphite in the Casey example, even if it's broken, but I would pick Zillion or something, right? Like, if it came down to it. Your thoughts, Gilius?
Okay, we're talking about champions that you. What was the topic again? Sorry, I'm listening, of course, to everything. But what was the question again?
The question was kind of, when do you play to what's winning for you as a team versus like playing to the meta or innovating? Was that correct, though?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but I think this is the stuff, Thorin, that I think you figure out during the bootcamp,
right,
before you play the league. So, do I have good players playing playing side lanes in mid game? Do I have strong laners? Do I have a strong team fighting team? Do I have, like, you just figure out what your identity is, right? In the big bootcamp you have, and you also kind of sign the players for it. I feel like the League of Legends is right now so much about team fighting. There's so much to fight over. Atakan, Grubs, Herald. So I feel like globally, kind of everyone has agreed that 5v5ing is the most important. Some teams will play all-in comps that go in and kill each other. Some teams like Casey are gonna play like the Jace comps where you poke and space and play with a lot of control. So you kind of figure it out. And then I just don't understand how it can take the LEC so long to understand that champions like Rumble, Gwen, like, okay, they figured out Ambassador pretty early, LEC. I'm gonna give them credit for that. But the fact that there's still so little Gwen and Rumble, it's just a bad image for the league, Like, we're just boosted, man. Like, if they faced any Asian teams, they would get fucking 20 minutes KO'd. Like, BFX, Ultra Prime, like, even I'm like naming absolute random teams from Korea and China. They would even give KC or G2 a run for their money. Like, I'm 100% sure at the current level, if Diable would lane against fucking Hans Sommer, he would take him apart. So, yeah, I just think we are dog shit right now. The patch is gonna be really good for us as a league. We're gonna like relearn the game. Everyone relearns the game. I hope they learn the meta and then we can get better.
I will say the best Rumble in LEC, as if to complete the meme, is Kana, who's just Korean. So, like, that does sort of, that certain champions will always be the Asian champions, but I don't know why. Right, Peter, what is your ugly point?
Yeah,
bad point, sorry. Bad point.
My bad point kind of fits into a little bit what you're saying, which is that it's on GX, right? Like, I don't understand how this team is so bad at playing mid game. And when Lot comes into the league, we talked about Myrwn and how Myrwn is Gwen Varus. Like, if you said what his pocket picks, Lot's pocket pick is Rumble, right? He is like really, really good on Rumble. Like, Lot's weakness is that sometimes he's a bit late on team fights, and as a result, Rumble helps you cover for this. But like the problem is that he was in a good position to carry on Rumble, but they never played properly to his side lane. And then Jackie's had like 7 kills or something ridiculous. I think he finished with 10 kills on Ari. And they didn't push for deep vision at any point. They didn't skirmish around Ari. They're just trying to fight. Like, sure, 5v5 team fighting is important, but you can also play for setup by skirmishing, so you have a better 5v5, right? If you have Ari, you don't want to just walk into fight the enemy team 5v5. You want to push your side lane with Ari, push for deep vision. As a result, make sure you're first on the objective, force enemy team to face strike into your setup. And they just didn't. Like, I mean, and I don't understand how, sometimes you can say with rookie and more inexperienced players, they didn't know how to play these champions. How many games has Jackie's played on Ari, like, over the course of his career? How many games has Lot played on Rumble, right? Like, they have these champions.
Yeah,
they're just not playing to them. And, like, I don't understand. Like, people had GiantX at the start of the year as, like, a potential... 5. Some people had 4 or 5, right?
Yeah, I think that's
how good you thought, how good you thought Mad Lions were and KC were going to be, but they look like a 9th place team now, right? Are they?
Yeah,
they're better than Rogue. They're better than Rogue.
No, but I mean, if people like the Heretics and the Vitality of the world are looking better, and even SK, they have to be down at 9th, mate. They have to be down there. Yeah. It's fair.
Yeah, and it's it's because they just don't play their size. Like I don't know whether it's their solo laners don't have any agency to call. I don't know if it's like Jun and Isma just ignoring them. Like I just don't know, right? But
It's
there's
gotta be
clearly something
Isma.
going on. Yeah,
It's gotta be Isma.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think Isma is the problem, no? Don't you think, Peter?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm a known Isma. I'm not an Isma fan, for sure. But yeah, it's rough for sure. But I don't even know what their solution is, right? It's just like follow the calls. Either. So this is the thing. If they're not calling, then go and tell them to fucking call. And like, if you make a mistake, who cares, right? You've got to fix it now,
Yes.
or else you're fucked for the rest of the year. If they're not following the calls, then go and like seal Isma and Jun in like a room and yell at them or something, right? Like until they like just listen. Because if they don't make mistakes, how are they going to get better? But they're too afraid to even make mistakes, and as a result, they just lose, right? And that's just.
Apparently, they are winning all of their scrims right now.
Oh, wow.
They're like stomping top. They're like stomping top tier teams in scrims at the moment. Like before they lost that disgusting series that they played. Yeah. So there's something heavily going wrong in their stage games. Apparently in scrims everything looks super good, but I also see there's some curses going on with that team. Like after Giotto trash talked Dylan Falco, and Dylan Falco got super angry. You guys remember that? When Dylan Falco trash talked him? Yeah. After that,
Dylan never gets angry. Like, holy shit.
I've never seen Dylan so angry in my life. Basically, after that, the Giotto curse came in. Like, after that, they started losing everything. And they also have the Isma curse. Isma, when he steps in the team, they have a worse jungler. Like, I don't know what it is with this guy. He was also terrible on SK Gaming last year. Now that he's gone out of SK, SK is now finally unleashed. Like, Bukada is doing amazing.
True.
They're, like, winning a lot of games. I'm also very surprised that it was so heavily celebrated that GiantX got Isma and Bukada went to SK. Like, I thought to myself when I saw all of this, wow, this is best case scenario for SK. They get rid of Isma's contract and they just get a new jungler in who's like promising talent. And GiantX, the biggest loser of the offseason, because they have to use Isma. So yeah, I think next year or next split, I would like to see a new jungler on that team. I think this team is absolutely cooked. Like, I don't see even Noah's. When I checked Noah's Twitter, his bio is Marek Brazda's son. So it's like maybe they've just given up on themselves, low confidence. I don't know how you can even perform on stage when your bio is that, you know.
I do think it's mad. Like, put it this way, if you do contrast this team with the squads that took gambles on all the rookies, like Vitality's fucking role swapping people, Heretics is just a bunch of people that you didn't even know before this year if you already follow LEC. Like, it is bonkers to think that GX is so much worse. Because I'm with you, Peter. Like, the mid game is impossibly bad. Like, that Ari game is the perfect one. You actually have a real talent in Jackies who was super fed on fucking Ari, and you can't do anything at all in the game. Like, you have no agency. Like, the obvious question is, what the fuck are the jungle and support doing? Like, do those two know each other? I agree with you, Peter. It's like they should almost do the joke of like Giotto should be like, hey, is meet fucking Jordan? No, you're in the same team, you know. Like, you're gonna actually have to fucking do something. No, it's mental, bro. Especially because, like you're saying, Gilius, it's not like these are all 5 bad players. Like, some of these players are actually good. Like, some of them have like potential to be legit. Definitely isn't the fit though. And by the way, the Isma fit change hasn't improved things. It's got worse. It's gotten worse now. Like, I wasn't the biggest fan of how Closer was playing, but I could sort of see the logic of what they were going for. This team's even worse, mate. This is just a very dysfunctional squad. I think that's a good bad one. Right, mine is going to, I hinted at it earlier, and we all actually touched on it a little bit. By the way, that Heretic series now lives rent-free in my mind against Karmine Corp, because I'm with you guys. That just shows you that Heretics doesn't have super experienced, like, top-level players. Bro, anyone else in that position who's at a top 5 or 6 team would 100% close that game 3. Like, that series was over. Like, it's why it's sad, because Karmine Corp gets to, like, on paper win the series and look like, who cares, a win's a win. No, the way you were losing that game was really disturbing. Because here's what I don't get. I made this point on some of the insight. I actually think there's a really big trap for Karmine Corp right now, which is, at the current level of LEC, their team fighting is so sick they can get out of trouble. trouble. They can do like the double lifter, like you're in a bad spot, but your mechanics you out of it. But you shouldn't even be in that position. And I'll tell you right now, if you get in that position at MSI, you are going to get cooked by the fucking Asian teams. Like any LCK or LPL team will fucking murder you if you give them a lead like that. Like they're not gonna gift it back like Heretics did, or like teams like BDS just give you like the win out of nowhere when they've got great goal. I think that's gonna happen. So what I'm worried about, this is why I picked it as my bad one. It's just I think that is a really killer flaw to have. Like thinking like, oh, you know, we can get out of trouble or we can be behind the game. Like, that's so rarely ever true that really works as like a super strength. You know, like the best teams tend to be the ones that just are leading at minute 10 or have the goal lead at 15 or they aren't behind on 2 objectives. Like if you let the advantages stack up against you like this, like, put it this way, this is the thing that all makes me worried whether KC will win this split or not. Because on paper, like their strengths are awesome, but they have some real fucking flaws as well. So I'm going to say KC's flaws is my bad point. What do you think, Gilius?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think expectations are very high for KC. They are the defending champions. They shouldn't be struggling with Heretics. They shouldn't be falling so far behind in laning phase. They literally finished the last international in the finals. Like everyone has high expectations from them.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue right now I see in that team is Targamas. That guy is not having the greatest games. Like he's dying a lot, doing a lot of laning phase mistakes. When he has that smirk in his cam, like when he starts smiling when he's inting, I already know like this is gonna be a hell day for KC. He like starts smiling and just keeps running it down. There was also a snip.
To me, that's worse than being toxic, bro. Just actually like seeming like you're a troll. That triggers me more than being toxic, you know.
And there was one snip of mic check that I saw from Targamas, which really triggered me.
Go on.
So KC won game 1, and now they are showing the mic check of game 2. The coaches leave the stage. And then Targamas says, "Oh, guys, we cannot win this game. Our draft is too garbage."
Before it's even begun.
Yeah. The coaches are all gone, and Targamas says this. He's the leader of the team.
That's wild.
The game is about to start, and he says to his team, "Oh, we're cooked, guys. The draft is fucking dog shit." And then you know what happened? They got absolutely fucking stomped, and they lost 2-1 to Fnatic. They got reverse swept by Fnatic. You guys remember?
Yeah.
So I was like, wow. Like if my support told me that,
that's wild.
Before the game began. It's like, it's very pessimistic. It's like, are we even trying to win? And then everything went into Fnatic's momentum, right? So I think Targamas maybe needs to get his shit together. And other than that, Yike has been awesome. I think Vladi and Kana look decent. Kalist and Targamas, I think right now need to step it up.
Yep. I think we're going to learn a lot about KC this week because, frankly, like they're going to make playoffs, right? Like we all know they're going to make playoffs. But you know, players, if you want to win, you have to have some amount of pride and self-respect, right? Like, and sure, we talk about game 3. They should have lost game 3. Like, make no mistake, they out-team fought their way in game 3, and Heretics didn't play side lanes as well as they could have. But game 1, they almost got perfect game 1. I think it was like 22 kills to 3. Like, they were losing for 38 minutes. Yeah, and the thing is, if you have pride as a pro player, you are like finalists of first stand, champions of Europe, and you're getting fucked by the Heretics. Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, as a pro player, like, what you need to... They play GX next week, and if they don't win that series 2-0 in, like, less than 60-minute game played over 2 games, like, I begin to question this team. I can understand worlds where complacency creeps in, but if you have, like, a series like this, and you don't bounce back, knowing that you should have lost the Heretics, like, and make GX regret that they even showed up at the studio next week, then I'm worried. I'm not worried yet, but like next week, I'm potentially worried.
It could have also been like a mentality error. Like sometimes when you're a top team and you face against a team like Heretics, you think it's such a free win. There's maybe less time to put into preparation, more into like improving how you play as a team. So maybe that's what happened. That could be an excuse angle. Maybe next week they pop off again. But this is not good enough right now, for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, GX are the same sort of tier as Heretics, right? So if they, we'll know a lot next week. We'll know not next week.
Sure. Okay, last section then. Gilius, what is ugly? What's ugly in LEC right now?
Okay. I would like to talk about 113s.
Oh,
113s. I don't know if you guys even want to talk about this. I think this topic is maybe already kind of cooked. Up to you guys. 113's item builds. And the effect it had on BDS, like their match history, after he did that
The Giants
five
got
giant
one, yeah.
spells. Yeah. After that, their match history just turned red. Like
Oh,
BDS
right.
cannot catch a break right now. They're losing
Okay.
every game. So I wanted to open this
Go for
topic.
it.
Like, what do you guys think about it?
What, the item builds or 113 as a
Yeah.
player in the LEC?
No, like I don't want to flame him too much. I thought he started really strong into the split with BDS. But now the hatred came back for 113. Like, he bought 5 giant spells, 3 haunting geysers.
Yeah.
I think it's unprofessional. I think it's globally known what's the item build on Skarner and Lilia. You're supposed to build Heartsteel, then you go Unending Despair on Skarner, you go Liandry's Riftmaker Zonia on Lilia most games. So what's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, like, to me, it's... Okay. The reason why BDS lost to Heretics is because of 113. I don't even think it's his item builds. I think his item builds give him like a path. So they're not optimal, right? They give him a path. They give him like an escape path. But like the way that this guy positions in team fights, the way this guy positions on the map, like I think there's a situation where was it the first game or the third game? It was one of the games against Heretics where they're on like Elder Dragon and he just walks out the back of the pit.
Oh yeah, and then he just stole it, right?
Yeah, and then Shield just walks in and it's just like, yeah, thanks, I'm gonna take it. Or like the first, I remember, I can't remember when the Elder Dragon was, but like they were sieging Tier 2 tower, and like he's engaging when they're trying to poke them and trying to hit the tower, and then he just steps up and like Stend is like on Renata, like, thank you very much. Handshake you into ult, like they die, they can't position anymore. Like this guy, he's so frustrating because I can see some of the good things he's doing in the early game, but just like I don't know what he's doing in the mid to late game. Like
uncontrollable.
I don't know if it's just he loses focus. I don't know if he thinks these things are good. I don't know if he thinks that he thinks, oh, the rest of the team need to follow me, and I'm the only one who's playing really really up, and I just don't know what it is. And like for me, the item builds matter. But they matter because it's part of, to me, it's like he's losing focus in the mid to late game. And I don't even know how to fix that in this case. Because I've seen 113 for years, and he's always been this player.
Yeah, for me it's a bummer because I feel like Ice is right now the best AD carry in the league, like in my opinion. He's amazing every game almost. Like Ice gets so many kills, he plays well on lane with an arguably weak support, like he's laning with Parus, who has not had the greatest year so far. So I feel bad for some BDS players because I feel like this roster actually has good potential. It has some strong power. Irrelevant can have some good games, also been not so great this year. But yeah, Nuck and Ice definitely deserve better. So I would like them to do a little bit better than what they're showing.
But anyway, I will say, I'm not enough of an expert about jungle to know about the item builds, etc. I thought it was kind of bizarre that when on Summoning Insight, Yamato actually like played defense for that and explained how he thinks it like makes sense or whatever. It was like, okay, you can have that. You can have, I don't know why. He had something about the way the fucking passing worked or something. I can't remember. Like you'd have to go watch it. It was a weird angle for sure. Because everyone I saw was a jungle mid and told me it was terrible. So, and the problem I have is we have on the past on this show. Don't worry. 113 has been mentioned many times in the bad and ugly categories, Gilius, because even though we've also praised him, he is like a problem child jungler where like the real problem I have is this, even though he's young, he has had quite a few years now. People have to remember he was playing with Reckless like 2022. Like he's had quite many years now of being around this coach and being around like top ERLs. He was in Karmine Corp, then he's been in LEC a few times. You even saw it when he was in Astralis. Here's the problem. I can see why this guy actually is a pro player. Like he has hands. He has times when he does sometimes he does do some like demon time early game path, and you're like, this is fucking sick. Like I can see this prospect, but holy fuck, can this guy fall off in a game? And also, he does the fucking BDS thing like as a jungler, he does it as a player. He just gives away leads. Bro, he'll have like a crazy lead and he'll just gift it back to the other team. Like, what the fuck? Like some of his throws are fucking crazy, mate. So I can't tell if this is a player where like you need to, kid gloves and let him do his thing and he'll figure it out. Or if it's the other way around, you have to put him on a fucking leash and be like, just do this exactly only, and we'll do the thinking for you later in the game. Because I mean, by the way, this is like definitely a problem DDS as a team has. Like he's one of their strengths, but he's also one of their lose conditions.
Yeah, like once he figures out, I think it has a lot to do with mentality, the jungle role. I don't think it's always about the talent only. Like you gotta have a good mentality as a jungle player. Like you have the ability to break the game. You also have to basically get your team a lead in the early game. 113 is really good at this. This is also why he's so highly rated in solo QoS. But you also need to have the mentality to be the stable backbone of the team. Like as a jungler, you're not allowed to make so many mistakes because all of your teammates, usually every League of Legends player hates junglers, okay? Like ADC, top laner, everyone hates you, right?
So that's the next scapegoat role.
Yeah, like whenever you do a mistake, everyone is frustrated because they're like playing the lane. They're like, oh, could have used you here, man. Why didn't you run it down? Oh, you could have just stayed in the bush and defended me, bro. So you could have done this fucking dragon for me solo. So you need to be stable and you need to have a good, like a mentality where you want to make as little mistakes as possible. But when it's time to be clutch, you also need to be clutch. And right now, he only has the clutch factor, which is a great start for a young player. He's still young, right?
Yeah.
So if he figures out the discipline part of it, and then I think it's going to be good.
By the way, that even reminds me of a funny theory that I heard back in the day, for real, like 10 years ago when I did an interview with him. I once did an interview with Dom before he became like a super famous streamer, and he was still like a pro player at the end of his Liquid Curse days. And I asked him something like, why does everyone always paint the junglers as toxic, right? And always see you guys are like the shit talk. And he said his theory, right, was a great theory, Pete. You'll love it. He goes, well, because logically in the role, you can't cover all three lanes at once. You're always going to have 2 or 3 people on a team that are going to blame you for something that did or didn't happen in the game. And so naturally, it's always going to happen. Now, what's funny is he was right. That is actually a very interesting theory of how teams work. But I do also notice that when I was giving him like the examples, I always getting painted as toxic. You know, there's you, St. Vicious, you know, Diamond Prox. There wasn't a self-made back then, but I would have said him if that option had been there. Well, the joke is, Dom was both right and wrong. It's like, one, those people are all toxic as fuck, but it is also the role. It's both at the same time. It's not one or the other. Like, Spider, you were toxic, bro. You know that. But you also, it's true, the role did make it look like that no matter what. I agree on that one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, there's only 2.
I mean, like, inspired as well. I mentioned inspired
of course,
as well.
Yeah. And also, I will say, the one thing Dom was right about is that he actually had a great line. This is 10 years ago, but it's a banger line. He said something like, the job of the jungler is actually to say no to people. That's a fucking great fucking line. That's a great coach line too, because I agree. One of the reasons why Inspired is viewed as toxic is he'll absolutely tell you, not only am I not coming, don't even ask for that next time. It didn't even make sense, and I'm doing what I think. Like, but here's the thing, in a way, I love that, bro. I want you to be toxic like that. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go. Right, okay, Peter, what is your ugly point going to be? I'm going to be back in a sec. Just keep going.
Yep. So my ugly point is a little bit feeding on what you're saying, Gilius, which is that the Parus this year has like really, really disappointed me, right? And I mean, we've been really, really nice. Like, I've been really nice about Koi already. So I'll be a little bit, I'll annoy some Koi fans, right? But basically, to me, there's like 2 types of players, right? You have the Kalist here, who are like, they have natural talent, they're really, really gifted. They, for whatever reason, they play like a ton of, they come into the league, it's really, really obvious they have talent. And then you have like the super tier, who are like decent, but it's really clear that they have to work hard, right? Like they're not like naturally gifted. They just have to, but they can make up the gap if they like really, really put a lot of effort into it and they grind, and you know, maybe they can get to the top, but it's not quite the same, right? And to me, I think most people, when they looked at Parus when he was in ERLs, they would have said he's like the Kalist tier. I mean, to me, I thought he was the super tier, but they a lot of people put him in the Kalist tier. But this year, he's like really, really, really struggled on BDS, and I'm just wondering, do you put this down to 113? Because from my side, it looks like he's been put in a team where he's playing with a really, really kind of like Skewmond is kind of really structured in what he does, right? Like he's very logical in what he does. You put him in a team with 113. You put him with an AD carry. He doesn't speak the same language as. So their laning is fine, but like their situation
reviews are probably not great,
exactly. Right? Yeah. And it just looks to me that either this guy's underperforming, or he's like not going to reach his potential, or he you know. Do you think it's a case of he doesn't have the potential to reach it, or do you think he's just doomed on BDS?
I actually think he has the potential to reach it. Like there's a reason why he was the number 1 priority for G2, right? They wanted him on G2, and whoever G2 wants is usually the biggest prospect, right? They wanted Kalist as well.
Yeah.
So I do see why people think Parus is that good. Like, I played solo queue a lot with him. I played champions queue with him. He is very, very good. But then in the official games, he has been absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
I think it could have to do with, first of all, new environment. Maybe he's not that kind of guy who's like plug and play like Stent,
Yeah.
who can just like go on stage and just instantly perform. Maybe he needs some time. And I also think going from playing with Skewmont, that's a very good point by you, like a full disciplinary jungler, like the guy that judo all his childhood, to then jungling with like a jungler like 113. Maybe he's not used to this much action.
Okay.
Like I'm not sure. And then like also the fact that he's
Well, are you like him? What implication is that? You make it sound like Skewmont's like a professor, and then 113's like a cave troll or something. It's like, all right, well, guys, I'm here. Like, what's the problem? What doesn't mix with those two? Do you think? Do you think he needs a more cerebral jungle, basically?
Like there's like you can tell when you watch Skewmont that the guy did judo and won medals. Like he's very disciplined.
Yeah.
Like he ticks all the boxes. 113 is the crazy guy who's gonna get you a crazy lead, but he's gonna like fucking run it down. But there's no excuse for Parus to even play this bad. I would say it's not good for him to play his first split in the LEC with a Korean. Like it would be better for him to have a European AD carry who can like teach him in English what the problem is. Because I don't think Ice sits there with his.
It looks like he never talks, mate. It looks like he just clicks. I love it.
He's 6-0 smiling and his team is like inting him. That's how I know him. So I don't think he really helps him too much.
I mean, I that's when I feel for Ice. Like when he's smiling, his team's running it down, and he's just sitting there on the voice cams. He's smiling, like very zen. You know,
he's always fat. He's always so fat. And like I think Parus, maybe they should give him like one more. They should give him one more split, like summer split, basically, to show if he's worthy. Like he cannot get away with these performances anyway. Like Parus needs to step it up. He knows this. Hopefully, he learns to handle the pressure better. Summer, he's gonna play better, hopefully, and then I think he's gonna have a good career. But it could also go really soft for him. Like if he insta summer split as well, together with 113, maybe they are both cooked.
Okay. So I will say the way you framed this, Peter, we should rewind on that, because what your premise was that you wrote to me was that to you, players like this make you rethink that whether we even should label people as like this is a good player or this is like an LEC level player. Because basically what you're getting at is, I mean, especially by the way, I think especially jungle and support role, the ultimate for this is like, bro, it depends what team you're in. Like what sort of coach do you have? What sort of style do you have? What's your teammate? Like, by the way, one thing I'll quickly throw out there for people who are thinking from the old school of league, people used to model really old school league like solo queue, like, right, I'm the top player, did I get 1v1 kills? And we're like, league hasn't been like that for years. Like, think about how many connections you now have. You have like the jungle and the support is like a duo basically of the game now. Like, that's not the thing where like, oh, Dandy and Matt can, no, everyone has to do that now. If you don't do that, like we talked about earlier, all the jungle and supports that don't work together, their teams are fucking flawed. None of them are in the top end of the bracket. Then you have like top and ADCs, I think, like I just said earlier. Like now, if you want to play all those top lane carries, you better have the right bot lane. You're just not even enabled to do it. Like there's so many cross connections in a team now. It's not like we can't really judge someone's individual level as separate from the team, right, Peter?
Yeah, I fully agree. And I mean, sorry. So when I was writing this point, I was the point that I sent to Thorin last night was like we think a lot about bot lane as like AD carry support or their synergy. Obviously, there's the famous situation where Xkick really wanted to play with DOS because he felt that they had good synergy. But we don't think enough about jungle support synergy, right? Like I've never had, whenever I've talked to other players about why they signed a certain player, they almost never tell me that they pick the support because they can play with the jungle. It's always, oh, he can play with the AD carry, or oh, he's individually like really, really good in this way. And like I look at Sten and I think I've glazed Sten a lot, and I think he's playing really, really well. But if you ask me as a prospect, looking at them in ERLs, I would have said Parus looks like he's a better prospect, right? But the thing is that Sten has come into an environment. He's playing with Flackid, who makes every support. Flackid is like the Niski of AD carries, right? He makes like every support he plays with like look really, really insane. He's clearly empowered to do a lot of the things that he wants to do, right? Like he's playing with a jungler who he clearly has good synergy with. They clearly like see the game in the same way. That's either coaching or it's just natural synergy. And like this guy, he's improved. Like he's twice the player he was like 6 months ago, right? You look at Parus is half the player he was he was 6 months ago because of the jungle he's playing with, because of the team environment he's playing with. And honestly, I think there was like, just for the people that like really like to study the game, you look at BDS versus Koi, first game 13-40, right? Ice is on mid. He's like, Parus they got mid push. Parus went into Dragon with 1-1-3, and there's 3 people on mid, and they're pushing in Ice, and Ice oversteps slightly, but he's kind of trading with Super on mid wave. He's just overstepped slightly. Super hits like 3 skill shots, and he's a little bit down, right? And he can't trade anymore, but he can defend on the tower. And when that situation happens, I think maybe if you had like a really good English-speaking AD carry, that AD carry would just say, "Oh, I'm going to trade, but like cover me on the dive or something like this." But Parus sees that he's trading, sees that he's losing the trade, panics, runs into a bush 1v3, and then just dies. And I don't think that Parus is the type of player that thinks this is a good play, right? I think he thinks, "Oh, I've got to throw myself in the way for the AD carry," but Ice is in no danger of dying. And to me, you do this happens enough on stage and this happens enough in scrims, and you begin to doubt yourself. And like, if you're playing support, especially in the meta right now, you cannot afford to doubt yourself, right? Like you just have to, like, there's so much responsibility on support for Engage right now, especially because top lane, like, so many carries are playable top lane. So the responsibility is on jungle and support so much. And I think that this environment, I just watch him get worse every game. And it makes me wonder how to fix the situation, because the comparison with Heretics is great, is the one that comes to my mind. And to be honest, sure, Heretics beat BDS, but I don't think they should have beaten BDS. I think BDS threw 2 of the games. But good for Heretics that they won. But yeah, just the difference in the supports was really notable.
Okay. I will say the obvious surprising thing in this particular case is obviously this guy was on the academy team at BDS, so you'd think if anyone should have had all the scouting and all the info, like, it was your org. That's the weirdest part about it. In fact, the sad thing is, when I'm thinking about this episode, it actually makes me think, what if they had just kept Gio? Wouldn't that have been just already introduced Parus? That would have been the way to test, right? Then you'd sort of know if it works or not, especially because then you can contrast him with Labrov. You'd have all the same sorts of players. I feel like it's an obvious angle. I mean, hindsight, obviously hindsight on that one.
I wish that I could have been a fly on the wall of BDS GM office, right? Because they had Labrov, who was like top two support in the league. They had Parus, who most people consider number 1 prospect in ERLs. They had Skewmond, who most people thought number 1 prospect in ERLs. And they had Shio, who was, I think Shio is good. I think Shio was top 3 jungler last year, but most people would have said top 5. Let's say top 5, right? Yeah. So that we don't piss off people, right? And somehow they end up with 1-1-3 and Parus. Like, what happened? Did they like release Shio because they thought Skewmon was going to come, and then they then they thought, and then he left, or do they just think Shio's garbage, or like I just wish I knew.
Maybe one more. Maybe Irrelevant is just so expensive that they had to kind of budget a bit down. Like Parus is basically playing for almost free because he gets promoted,
right?
And then 113 is playing for free because he doesn't have any other offers probably. So you just get cheap jungle support with high upside, and Irrelevant is probably expensive as fuck. I think that guy had an offer from Fnatic or something. He
that would actually make logical sense. I mean, I wonder how much Heretics are paying him, but no, that makes sense. I didn't even think about that. Huh? Yeah, maybe you're right.
I think Irrelevant is the most. Okay, sorry.
No. By the way, we've always had that take on the past ones. He's had a terrible split. Like, this year's been shit for him, hasn't it? That's true.
Horrible.
Because he looked like he was on the trajectory to get into like a Fnatic and have a fucking amazing career, but it's kind of like just stalled. By the way, the last point, I'm going to throw away what I was going to do. I'm actually going to tie it into what we were just discussing here, because I know what my ugly point has to be. My ugly point actually has to be the player Ice in BDS, and here's why. Because, bro, right, this is a player where his narrative is so unfair, because people don't actually praise him enough. Bearing in mind, didn't almost everyone do what I did? I'll totally go on record in a bit. I did this. The second they removed Crowley, I was like, this team's cooked. Get the fuck out. Like, he was the whole reason you're winning the games. Like, not only was he actually like carrying the games with fucking like hyper carries, he was like calling the game as well. Like you could see this guy was your team. So when they did that swap, and by the way, at the time the rumor was they did the swap because they wanted to just play to Adam because they sort of chose between the two of them internally who sort of wins the battle. So when you did that and you brought in Ice, who by the way, if people don't know from StarCraft and League, there's even a meme about Koreans that like the faceless Korean, the one that you have like, who the fuck's this guy? Does he have a personality? Who is he? Like, you know, the ones where they're not like the big like showman. You just like the guy's good at the game. Who the fuck's this? He looked like that. It looked like a generic fucking FIFA character that's just like Korean AD carry player, like walks in. At the time, he was even just playing. Remember, they did play to Adam early. He was just playing like weak side and just normal ADC. So I thought, oh, this is just so cynical. What you've done is you've just taken like a plug and play basic Korean, and you're just now going to be an Adam team. But bro, you saw immediately after that first split last year, they went right back to playing around the AD carry, and he was fucking really good. In fact, I think in the time this guy's been in the league for a year and a half, I think at worst ever he might have been like third or fourth best ADC. Bro, he's always been good. And I agree with you, Gilius. Even when the team loses, he's definitely one of the best players that's still like popping off and having his carries and getting his damage in. But here's the reason why I put it in ugly. Because one, I feel like he doesn't have any like mystique about him like that. He doesn't ever get, I've never seen a player this good have zero sort of fan hype. No one like, it's crazy. Like he's been, bro, he's been in finals, everything like, so anyway, there's that angle. And then the other one is, I also feel like the fact he is Korean and there's not other Koreans on this team and he's just working with his European squad, I don't know what this guy's English level is like. And I do feel like this is why it's ugly. I think in a way it holds him back because I got the sense last year that like this guy can play some champions. I think they just don't pick for him because it just wouldn't make sense with like his language comp skills. I don't think essentially he's the AD carry that can do what I think at the top level all AD carries have to do, which is eventually once you know you're really good and you can carry the game, you do like a bit of shot call around yourself in the game. Like you tell them when the group made, you tell them when you want to take the fight, you tell them back off this shot. I don't get the vibe he does that in this team. I've always got the vibe this team was like jungle and support team in BDS, and that's how they even coached. And I do think they sort of plug and play him a bit. So essentially, the reason I pick it as ugly is I don't put any of this on him, aside from the fact I would speculate he doesn't speak amazing English. Doesn't seem like he's super extroverted, but I feel like he might even actually have his potential like withheld a little bit, mate. I'm thinking of when like Berserker was in Cloud9, the whole team was built around that guy. The entire game was like just let that guy carry. And by the way, he got an enormous fucking reputation off that. People wanted him to go and rejoin like T1 or some fucking crazy shit like that. By the way, that was never going to happen, Cloud9 fans. I don't know how delusional you are, but I would say I actually think it's ugly like the position this Ice guy's in, because one, BDS isn't as good this year, but as far as I can tell, Gillies, he's just a really good player. Like if you took the nameplate off, he's just played some of the best AD carry we've had for like a year and a half now. He's really good.
Yeah, it is tragic, but I totally agree with you. It doesn't seem like Ice is the guy to really let the game come to him, like creates basically the scenarios he wants on the map. It feels like the games just happen the way they happen, and Ice just gets fed. Yeah, they need some more stronger shot calling on that team. Maybe
like I'll tell you my joke, Gilius. I have a good meme I came up with years ago on this. If you're a player like him and you're playing ADC, right? If you're at the top level, you think about when Doublelift was at his peak in TSM and Liquid or Jackie Love, you can tell these guys once they're fed in lane, bro, just call the game around themselves. And the mid game's just them getting skirmishes they want. This guy, that style of ADC that he plays, where it's like you're the old school one, it's like shut the fuck up and click the mouse. I always say that's like playing the old school arcade game Time Crisis. You know, in Time Crisis, you can shoot everything on the screen, but you don't control where you walk. You're just on rails, you go to the next part. That's what playing he's just like, right, into the dragon pit, back out into the lane. Like, he's just fucking shooting stuff, mate. He's not playing the game.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Honestly, I get it. Maybe I'm overrating Ice.
No, I think he's really good, mate. I just feel like, I don't know, maybe he needs a Korean or something. Who knows? What do you think, Peter?
He plays the scenarios out very well, for sure.
Seems like a model pro, like you're saying as well, doesn't get down when the team's losing, just does his job, mate. What a mega player.
He's just smiling, man, bro. Like, everyone is hinting 113 just built 5 giants, but like Ice was 8-0, smiling.
I know.
Just losing. Yeah.
By the way, that's where, speaking of fly on the wall, Peter, I'd just love to hear their calls back home to Korea after a game like that. Like, yeah, then my jungle just built like 5 giants builds. That's my job, bro. I'm a professional player. Like, fucking what's going on over there?
He is true. The real life version of the "this is fine."
Yes, exactly. Yes, true.
I mean, what I would say, I agree that this guy's massively underrated, and I mean, I think that even today, if you ask the majority of LEC fans who's better, Noah or Ice, I think the majority would still say no.
Yeah, for exactly that reason, personality, everything. Yeah, of course, I agree.
Exactly. And I'm sure Noah has like lots of nice traits, and he seems like a nice person. But yeah, I mean, like to me, there's a gap, right?
Yeah.
There's a gap between the two of them, and I think I don't know whether that's because BDS haven't done enough to promote him. I don't know whether it's because he's just doing his job and like he's not like exciting or he's not anything enough or to make people like sit up and notice, or whether it's because he doesn't use social media that much. Like I just don't know. But yeah, I mean, we're all on the same page, I think, for this.